Hello, good day. Welcome to Zines and Roger. I am going to do a video about granny squares and how we organise like the rounds of each colour. This is a video that I filmed last week and it was rubbish. So I'm starting again in the hopes that I do a better job this time. My name is Rosina. I am a crochet designer. I live in the southwest of the UK and today it's grotty. So I don't mind staying indoors and snuggling up with my crochet. And this morning I have been working up some little first rounds of granny centres because I'm going to make a baby blanket. And I thought I would take this opportunity to show you how I'm going to organise the colours for each round of the grannies. And I wonder if this is part of the problem, is that last week when I filmed I had no goal in mind. It wasn't really a project that was going to be anything. It was just a demonstration, and I had this tiny little formation of squares, and I was just going to bung it out, and that would do. And I think I need some sense of direction, and I've got one. I'm going to make a baby blanket because I know somebody who's going to have a baby, and I'd forgotten last week that I knew somebody who was going to have a baby. But it just means that not only am I now choosing very specific colours rather than just whatever I have in stash, but it means I can put a bit more thought behind it, and that's good. That's one of the main things about making something for somebody, is that you want it to be very specific, don't you? You don't just want to chuck anything at it. But this method would work if you're just stash busting and throwing all your yarn at a blanket. It's absolutely fine. This will work for that too. I put out a video a couple of weeks ago about choosing colours for your crochet, and this video is kind of like a cousin of that one. It moves on slightly from that to sort of knuckle down into one of the examples, I suppose. And in that video I avoided talking about colour theory and all that because that's not my bag, and winging it is more of my typical style, and that's probably why the last video was a bit rubbish, because I was winging it too much, and this one I'm going to try and avoid that. But moving from that video, what I've done is choose yarn that is a limited-ish palette, which is Paintbox Wool Mix Double Knit. I'm sure there's less than 30 colours in that collection, and I have got 8 here, 4 of which are warm tones, 4 of which are cool, talked about in the last video. And I also have some paler ones mixed in with some deeper contrasty colours, so that I have a kind of balance of everything really, and together these are going to create a granny square blanket. And also, I've lost it. I think for this little blanket, 200 grams, 2 balls of this shade, whatever that is, it should be enough to bring it all together. And then when I pull my finger out, I might do a separate video on a continuous join as you go method, and I think that might work quite nicely. Hair in my eye. So this is the yarn that I'm using. I've had it for a while, a couple of years. It's left over from a big blanket I made, and perfectly pleasant yarn to work with. It's 25% wool and 75% acrylic, and this is shade 04, which is my neutral colour to bring everything together. I think for this baby blanket I'm aiming for 16 squares. I'm just going to hide that because I can't remember what the notes say. I'm aiming for 16 squares, and I think 4 rounds of colour plus a 5th round of the neutral when I do the continuous join as you go. I don't know how big that will be. Hopefully an appropriate baby sized blanket. In fact, I have a 3rd scrap as well, just in case the 200 grams isn't enough. I'm pretty sure it will be. So this is the square I'm going to make, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, and then I'll make 16 that are this size and then join them all with that neutral, and then roughly I think each square will be about 14 centimetres. So 14 plus 14 is 28. 28 plus 28 is whatever that is, 50 something or other. Nearly 6. God, my brain. 56? I don't know. So 56 centimetres by 56 centimetres plus a border. What's that then? You'll be about that, I reckon. The square that's that. Yeah, that'll be about right for a baby blanket. I don't want a massive thing. So these centres are little petals, and then we start getting our granny on with the rest of the rounds. As luck would have it, I've got 16 squares and 8 colours. So I can just do 2 of each for the centres, 2 of each colour for the centres, and then I've got a nice balance of colours. So as much as this is about being random, we are going to try and evenly distribute the colours so that we use roughly the same amount of each. And that will balance out the blanket nicely without one colour talking too loudly over the other ones. So here they are, and look, I sewed in the ends because I'm well behaved and very organised this time around. So what I'm going to do is change the camera setup a little bit, and then just show you the simplest way of divvying out these centres across the colours so that we get that even spread without thinking too much, without it being super organised, so that we can do it quickly and just kind of churn it out but enjoy it at the same time. So I might have to change this angle because it's not a great one either. But that means changing my setup. But before I do that, I do have a tutorial for this square actually. It's on my blog and on YouTube. So I have a video tutorial and a written pattern if you want to make a granny square that has this petal centre, because I think it's just a little bit different to an ordinary granny without going full-blown elaborate. I like the little twist on it basically. So what I've got here are my cool tones and my warm tones. I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't matter how you organise it. This is what I normally do, and I will do this most often on my lap rather than all prim and proper at a table, because where's the fun in that? But I might have, in this case obviously I have two of each colour, so each colour here is represented here in all these little circles, and I have 2 of each. And I might have more than this. I might have a stack of, depending on how big your blanket is, you could have 7 of these each, you could have 10 of them each, you could have whatever number, you know, it could be a massive blanket. And then you just literally have your stack all in one colour, and then you just distribute it throughout the other colours, and you make sure that you have evenly placed them. I would do it so that I'm working with just one colour at any one time. And so each one now has a circle on it, and we're about to buddy it up with another one. So, you know, you can think about it a little bit and go, where do I want it? Obviously not here, because this is this colour, so you don't want to sit them side by side. You want them to be somewhere else. And I do try not to think, I try not to overthink, because that's a disaster. But then what happens is you get to the end and look, oh no, this one needs to go here because I've run, all the other ones have buddies, so I can't put this one here. So you just swap it over with another one and get rid of any hairs. If you don't like that, pop the purple on the green so that the yellow can go on the purple, and then happy families all round. And then without thinking about it, that's the key. Like, you can spend way too much time dithering over this section, but ultimately when you're looking at the final blanket, you're not actually going to notice that much. So all I would do at this stage is now I can, especially if I've got more than this, I can put half of them to one side and just focus on a small section of it to make life easier, and then you just focus on that. I mean, however you want to do that is up to you, but sometimes I like to have everything laid out on the floor or on table, and then just pick up a few at a time to carry back to the chair and do those, but each to their own. And I can't remember my own pattern at this point, so I'm just going to assume, I think it's just Granny's. I don't think I do a chain. I don't know even if that was neat and tidy or not, but I work on all the ones that are sat on top of this blue ball. I would crochet however many I have of that, focus on that, and then move on to the next, and then move on to the next, just so that it's kind of like a little, what's that? My God, where's my words gone? Conveyor belt, a factory of granny squares. And actually, the other thing about doing it this way is that it's quicker than sort of making one square at a time and then dithering over your colours. If you give yourself little choice in the matter and just do it this way, you have a bag full of granny squares before you know it. And also you can work on however many you need to work on, put it down for several weeks and then come back to it. I quite often, when it gets to this stage, I might get little plastic bags and bag up each section so that it's a bit more portable and you can tidy it away if you want. And don't forget, you don't have to do it this way. I discovered the other day a generator, and it's an online basic website where I think it might just be called grannysquarecolors.com, something like that, and you add in the colours that you've got and the number of squares that you want in the formation you want, whether or not that is rectangle or square, and it will generate an order of granny squares for you. I was blown away. However, with that comes the risk of, and because I did I plugged in a couple of colours and random sort of formation suggestions, and I noticed that it didn't care whether or not it placed blue on blue for some rounds, and although it looked totally random and almost fairly distributed in colour, it still had no qualms about going, oh yeah, you've just done blue for round 2, do blue for round 3 as well. Well, I'm not into that. It's not what I want. It's not my bag, not my jam. So that I don't know if you can ask it not to do that. I haven't explored it far enough to worry, but just so you know, there is that option out there of doing it totally random. Anyway, so I would do this for all of this round, get them all done before moving on to the next round, and then you do exactly the same where you layer all your balls and then place the squares. So what I wouldn't do for this one, for example, I wouldn't place this square on this, what is it, light teal, because I've already used it in that square, so it's not allowed. This is my rule that I have decided that I want to put in place. be my guest, change the rules to suit you. But for me, it would have to go on a different square. And look, I've got 2 cools. Why not make it so that it's a warm tone? And actually, I don't have rules like too strict on that. I could make this whole square all in blues should I have 5 different blue greeny shades. I don't care about that so much. It's up to the individual in many ways, something like that. Hopefully that has explained it. Somebody has decided to do some DIY a house or 2 along, so I hope you can't hear that. I am not gonna sew in all ends on camera, but I did think it was a good idea just to show you again another shortcut, which is to do 2 at a time. I don't know if you do 2 at a time already, but when the first round's a bit tricky because the beginning of the yarn and the end of the yarn land in different places, but when you do subsequent rounds, beginning and end tend to be in the same place, so it's easier just to do both at the same time in a rough old way. Like I said, I won't do all of them, but let's see, beginning and end in roughly the same place, so I just gather them together. It's just, well, it halves the time, didn't it? And any way I can cut corners, you can be sure I'll do it. So anyway, round 2 on all 16 squares is done, and I am being, well, much more well behaved than normal by sewing the ends in at this stage. But I have got a jumper downstairs which has a bajillion ends. It's actually a jumper using the same square pattern as this, and I might have to force myself to sew in the ends of that jumper because I think that's pretty much the last thing that I need to do on it. So what you do for the next round and all other rounds is what we've just done. So you line up all your balls, and at this point, who cares if they're cool, warm, whatever colour? I just don't care. So we'll do the same, which is to randomly place our squares. I almost forgot what they were called. What? Do it quickly, do it without hesitation, just whack them on. No dithering, no dithering, no dithering. Let's just go for it. Does that work? It's at this stage, sometimes you'll find yourself, you've done all this organisation and you're like, brilliant, yes, I'm organised, ready to move on to the next stage. And then you'll be crocheting one of the granny squares and you'll see that, oh no, the same colour features in that square twice. Tinker and swap, absolutely fine. Or if you don't care that much, just carry on. I mean, this is just one way of arranging the colours for granny squares. Nobody said you had to do it this way. It just makes my life easy when I do it this way. And somebody asked me how I did it, and I thought it would make a good video. So here we are. I'm just eyeballing it at this stage. Can you see? I mean, I'm pretty confident that I haven't messed up, but because I'm talking to you, I do get distracted sometimes. No, I think I'm happy with that. So I would just do my next rounds in the same sort of way, and yeah. And now we're on to just, yeah, we're working granny squares into granny sides into granny sides, and it's all pretty standard stuff. And then I guess this is what I'll be doing. for the next however long it takes me to finish a little baby blanket. But it's something that I am going to probably pick down and pick down and pick up. My goodness. Put down, pick up as and when it suits, when I can just do a few minutes here and there. I am not in a rush to complete this. Despite there being no major deadline apart from, you know, in about 8 months' time. Oh no, it might be a bit less than that now. Be less than that now. It's not for me, by the way. I'm 46, so I'm not having any more babies. But I need to do at some point in the next, let's say 7 months, do a continuous join as you go video demonstration of them all when I've finished all 4 rounds, and then a border. So what border shall I add to this blanket? What should we do? I could do bobbles, which I do quite a lot. I don't want to do pom-pom, sticky out pom-poms, because I think that is probably a bit too risky for tiny baby fingers. I mean, granny squares aren't the best. Those little holes, I used to panic about. When my babies were small, I remember for my second baby, he used to have his little fingers poked through all the granny holes. I remember I made him a blanket when he was born, and his little tiny fingers used to poke through the holes. I mean, nothing ever happened, but let's try and avoid any further risks. How do you, I mean, off topic, but I don't know how you feel about baby crochet granny blankets for babies, and whether or not they're dangerous. Am I being over worried? Anyway, border, I could do like a little shell. It could be scallop, it could be pointy bits or bobbles. What do you think I should choose? Let me know in the comments, because it might inform my decision. And if it's something that I could come up with, it's a relatively sort of original idea. I doubt there's many out there, but if I can make something up, maybe I'll do a video tutorial for it or something. Anywho, this is the first square for round 3, and I do have other stuff to do, so I might, no, I'm not going to put them away. I might have to finish them because they're all laid out on my desk now. I don't know if you can see. There they are. So I should probably make them, or just tidy them all away somehow, like in those little, like, what I do is get Ziploc bags and I stash them all away in Ziploc bags so that I can be, there's a helicopter on the way. Oh, also, just so you know, top tip, you know how granny squares can go on the wonk a bit? I join round 2 and round 2 here, so I would, in the opposite corner, do the next round, just so you know. Perhaps the helicopter is looking for bears, escaped bears. It was on the news yesterday that there's like a conservation type thing. It's not a zoo, it's a conservation park place. But it was on the news yesterday in the headlines, national headlines, that 2 bears had escaped. I think they were gone for less than an hour, and they had not gone far. I think they made it to the food store, which was like just outside their enclosure, and they were found in there eating honey. So I don't think that helicopter is looking for escaped bears. So just as a matter of interest, before I forget, I did note down the colours I'm using. So before I go, the main colour I think I've already said is 04, which is also known as sand. Then my contrast colours, of which I have less than 100 grams of each because they're all used balls left over from another project. I have mint, which is number 21, Dijon, which is number 10. Bright Coral, number 9. Deep Teal, 19. River is 22. Dusk, number 16. Cupcake Pink is 13. And the Deep Purple, which is a beautiful purple, is Grape, 11. And that is the Paintbox DK Wool Blend. And yeah, I did check as well, and there's 25 colours in the entire range, which makes it really easy to choose a palette for a blanket, I think. And I like this wool because it's an acrylic wool blend, so it's got the durability of the acrylic with the warmth and coziness of the wool, which I am a fan of. Anyway, that's how I arrange most of my granny squares when I'm making blankets these days. It's just a really straightforward approach, and I will do like totally random blind grabbing from a basket of yarn leftovers, because that's fun too. But for the most part, this is a really good way to arrange for a random looking selection of granny squares, but with a bit of forethought too. And if you enjoyed that video, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and please do leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know the thoughts on border options too. I don't know what to go for. I'm still undecided, but that's not a surprise because literally this blanket came into fruition last night. Or the colour choices I grabbed last night from my stash, which actually is, I recorded a video which I have not yet published, to do with that granny square jumper I mentioned, and in that video I say that these scraps are going to make a second jumper. I might be able to squeeze a second jumper out of them, but whoopsie, I've just reprioritised them into making this blanket, so whoopsie. Never mind. So it's a very it's a brand new blanket, baby blanket, and one that I'm hoping will look absolutely splendid. Anyway, seeing as I have no real other bits of conversation to raise, and this is becoming a ramble, I shall love you and leave you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheerio. Bye bye.